Hi, Dr. Alex here, and welcome to a brand new audiobook of The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, as can be seen here, and slightly larger here. Now, if this seems familiar in any way, trust me, this audiobook is a completely new production. It bears no resemblance, or very little resemblance, to anything you might have seen before, beyond the fact that, of course, it is The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, so I'm sure you've seen versions of that before. This version has been read by my good thespian friend, Bichard Rurton. Much like my previous H.G. Wells audiobook, The War of the Worlds, which he also read very, very well. And much as I did with the promo video for that, it's probably best if I read the blurb for the audiobook straight off the back of the audiobook. The Time Machine. This is the first science fiction novel by perhaps the most famous, certainly most famous British science fiction author of all time. With the invention of time travel, he invents a whole new subgenre, one which continues to inspire to this day. This reading has been produced by Alexander Leithes with the aid of his thespian friend Bichard Rurton, doing its utmost to capture the spirit of his near namesake. Which I think probably tells you all you need to know about this audiobook. As with The War of the Worlds, this has been published through Findaway Voices and is already available on Spotify, Google Play, Storytel, LibroFM, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo/Walmart. And it is not available through Audible because, as usual, you can't publish stuff that isn't your own work, i.e. you can't publish out of print novels, audiobooks, by out-of-copyright authors through Audible. But this is no great hardship or loss because really Findaway Voices seem to get bigger sales by quite some margin than Audible do. And perhaps more importantly then, a far wider readership and listenership. As previously mentioned, this might sound like something I've already produced recently, very recently, on YouTube, but this is a completely new recording for this audiobook. Once again, I wrestled the whiskey bottle away from Bichard Rurton and shut him in seclusion in the Welsh hills, until finally, after many false starts, he produced this excellent rendition of the book, The Time Machine, that you can now listen to here, with all the aforementioned resellers. Well, I hope you enjoy this audiobook as much as I've enjoyed making and listening to it. And that just leaves me to leave you with the free audio sample, and this time I think I'll run the Spotify one, since it's the one that is the most prominent among all the resellers, and the one most closely associated with Findaway Voices themselves, as they are Spotify, basically. And so, enjoy.
It was at 10 o'clock today that the first of all time machines began its career. I gave it a last tap, tried all the screws again, put one more drop of oil on the quartz rod and sat myself in the saddle. I suppose a suicide who holds a pistol to his skull feels much the same wonder at what will come next as I felt then. I took the starting lever in one hand and the stopping one in the other, pressed the first and almost immediately the second. I seemed to reel. I felt a nightmare sensation of falling, and looking round I saw the laboratory exactly as before. Had anything happened? For a moment I suspected that my intellect had tricked me. Then I noted the clock. A moment before, as it seemed, it had stood at a minute or so past 10. Now it was nearly 3:30. I drew a breath, set my teeth, gripped the starting lever with both hands and went off with a thud. The laboratory got hazy and went dark. Mrs. Watchett came in and walked, apparently without seeing me, towards the garden door. I suppose it took her a minute or so to traverse the place, but to me she seemed to shoot across the room like a rocket. I pressed the lever over to its extreme position. The night came like the turning out of a lamp, and in another moment came tomorrow. The laboratory grew faint and hazy, then fainter and ever fainter. Tomorrow night came black, then day again, night again, day again, faster and faster still. An eddying murmur filled my ears, and a strange, dumb confusedness descended on my mind. I am afraid I cannot convey the peculiar sensations of time travelling. They are excessively unpleasant. There is a feeling exactly like that one has upon a switchback, of a helpless, headlong motion. I felt the same horrible anticipation, too, of an imminent smash. As I put on pace, night followed day like the flapping of a black wing. The dim suggestion of the laboratory seemed presently to fall away from me, and I saw the sun hopping swiftly across the sky, leaping it every minute, and every minute marking a day. I supposed the laboratory had been destroyed, and I had come into the open air. I had a dim impression of scaffolding, but I was already going too fast to be conscious of any moving things. The slowest snail that ever crawled dashed by too fast for me. The twinkling succession of darkness and light was excessively painful to the eye. Then, in the intermittent darknesses, I saw the moon spinning swiftly through her quarters from new to full, and had a faint glimpse of the circling stars. Presently, as I went on, still gaining velocity, the palpitation of night and day merged into one continuous greyness. The sky took on a wonderful deepness of blue, a splendid luminous colour like that of early twilight. The jerking sun became a streak of fire, a brilliant arch in space, the moon a fainter fluctuating band, and I could see nothing of the stars, save now and then a brighter circle flickering in the blue. The landscape was misty and vague. I was still on the hillside upon which this house now stands, and the shoulder rose above me grey and dim. I saw trees growing and changing like puffs of vapour, now brown, now green. They grew, spread, shivered, and passed away. I saw huge buildings rise up faint and fair, and pass like dreams. The whole surface of the earth seemed changed, melting and flowing under my eyes. The little hands upon the dials that registered my speed raced round faster and faster. Presently I noted that the sunbelt swayed up and down from solstice to solstice in a minute or less, and that consequently my pace was over a year a minute. And minute by minute the white snow flashed across the world and vanished, and was followed by the bright, brief green of spring. The unpleasant sensations of the start were less poignant now. They merged at last into a kind of hysterical exhilaration. I remarked indeed a clumsy swaying of the machine for which I was unable to account, but my mind was too confused to attend to it. So, with a kind of madness growing upon me, I flung myself into futurity. At first I scarce thought of stopping, scarce thought of anything but these new sensations. But presently a fresh series of impressions grew up in my mind, a certain curiosity and therewith a certain dread, until at last they took complete possession of me. What strange developments of humanity, what wonderful advances upon our rudimentary civilization, I thought, might not appear when I came to look nearly into the dim, elusive world that raced and fluctuated before my eyes. I saw great and splendid architecture rising about me, more massive than any buildings of our own time, and yet, as it seemed, built of glimmer and mist. I saw a richer green flow up the hillside and remain there, without any wintry intermission. Even through the veil of my confusion, the earth seemed very fair, and so my mind came round to the business of stopping.
Masters, mistresses, the Doctor requires materials in order to maintain the TARDIS and ensure continued functionality. He similarly requires carbon-based comestibles to sustain his own biological functions and existence. Master would never say this, but he requires aid beyond that supplied by this unit in order to acquire these. To aid the Doctor in his various tasks and creations, this can be most effectively achieved via Patreon or Substack subscriptions, or through donations directly to PayPal. Or if you desire physical goods in return for your contributions, written accounts of my travels with the Doctor are also available on Amazon. Links are in the description below. Thank you, masters, mistresses.